Hey everyone, so today in this video, I'm going to check my privilege. I just recently realized through the videos of Hunter Avalon and Blair White that Buzzfeed has this test on where you check your privilege. But then again, they're Buzzfeed, they're the cancer of today's society. And I just said to myself, wow, I would love to know how much privilege I have so I can have so much guilt that I can kill myself as Buzzfeed would want me to. So let's just get started. Buzzfeed seems to love me since the first questions were about race, and I'm scoring low on the privilege chart on this one. Am I white? No. I have never been discriminated against because of my skin color. I have been the only person in a room of my own race. I've never been mocked for my accent. Of course I have. I always get mocked for the way I say stuff. I have never been told I look attractive for my race. I don't even know what that means. I've never been a victim of violence because of my race. The next one I didn't know how to answer properly. I've been told racist jokes, however. There's never been like one particular slur. I don't even know what the next one means. How do you sound white? Do you sound Polish, Australian, Argentinian? That's just a dumb question. And I've never been told that statement. And a stranger has never asked me to touch my hair. So yay me, I'm scoring probably pretty low on the privilege chart now. Whoa, there goes all my privilege. What are you doing, Buzzfeed? Yeah, I am heterosexual. I have never lied about my sexuality. I have never had to come out. I never doubted my parents' acceptance of my sexuality. I'm pretty sure they're fine with me being straight. I have been called a fag, and I have been called a dyke and a fairy. I have never tried to hide my sexuality. No, Buzzfeed, I've never tried to do that. I am always comfortable with PDA. Is that public displays of affection? Yeah, I would be with my partner. I've never pretended to be just friends with my significant other, and I've never been ostracized by my religion for my sexual orientation, particularly because I don't believe in any religion, or any organized religion. Some other questions related to my sexuality. Yes, I have never been told that I would burn in hell for my sexual orientation. I have been told that I would burn in hell for other reasons. I have never been told that my sexuality is just a phase, and I've never been violently threatened because of my sexuality. Now we're answering gender-related questions, and look at all my privilege disappear.
I was being sarcastic.
I am a man. I feel comfortable in the gender I was born in, as an Apache attack helicopter. I still identify as a gender I was born in. I have never tried to change my gender. I've never been denied an opportunity because of my gender. And I do not make more money than my professional counterparts of a different gender because the wage gap does not fucking exist. I've never felt unsafe because of my gender. I've never been catcalled. I've never been sexually harassed or assaulted. And I've never been raped. However, I do rape social justice warriors with facts. Ow. Finally, questions about socioeconomics, which privilege should be about. I have not worked in a salary job. All the jobs I've worked in, I was paid hourly. My family and I have never lived below the poverty line, no. I've never had any student loans. I have gone to bed hungry, definitely. And I've never been homeless. My parents pay some of my bills, but they don't pay all of it. I do rely on public transportation. I don't know how to answer this because there are months where I don't buy new clothes every month at all. Yet, most of the time I do, so I just clicked yes. I have never done my taxes myself. I feel like such a lazy shit. And I have felt poor, Buzzfeed. More questions about socioeconomics. I've never had to worry about making rent, but I have worked as a waiter. It's a terrible job. I have not had an unpaid internship or multiple unpaid internships. I did go to summer camp, I did go to private school, and I did graduate high school. I'm still not in college yet, and I still haven't graduated. My parents paid some of my tuition, yes, and I haven't had a car in high school. I have had a roommate. This was a tricky one. I've had access to cable, but I rarely use it, but that's why I didn't take it because even though I have always had cable, I haven't used it, so I don't think that makes me privileged. I have traveled internationally, and I do travel internationally at least once a year. I studied abroad. I have skipped a meal to save money. I had to do it. I do it quite frequently, actually. I do know what Sally Mae is, and I have spent spring break abroad. I do not have frequent flying miles. Some questions about my parents. They are heterosexual, they're both alive, and they're both married. Wow, so privileged. The next questions are basically related to health. I do not have any physical, social, or learning disabilities. I've never had an eating disorder. I have been depressed and I've considered suicide when listening to SJW feminist logic, but I've never attempted suicide. I have never taken medicine for any mental health, and I can afford it when I need it, most of the time. I have been told I'm too skinny, but I don't feel as if I'm too skinny. I have never properly been shamed for my body type. I definitely consider myself to be physically attractive. I can afford a therapist most of the time. Why the heck would I use prescription drugs recreationally? And I've never actually had an addiction. The next questions are about religious beliefs, and you can just tell that they're set up for Muslims because apparently they're now the new and only oppressed religious minority. I have been shamed for my religious beliefs several times, but I haven't been violently threatened or violently attacked for them. There is no place of worship in my town. There seems to be an intolerance toward Pastafarians. I did not lie about my ethnicity as a self-defense, or form of self-defense, but I did about religion. I continue to do so. All my jobs pretty much have been accommodating of my religious beliefs. No one gave a shit. I shouldn't be nervous in airport security lines because I don't have a bomb and I don't follow the religion of terrorism. I've never heard this statement, you have been randomly selected for secondary passport control because I do not follow the religion of terrorism. I've never been called a terrorist because I don't follow the religion of terrorism. And nobody has ever tried to save me for my religious beliefs, except they have. Finally, we have some equally retarded miscellaneous questions. I haven't been cyberbullied because cyberbullying is not actual bullying. I was bullied as a child. I haven't tried to distance myself from any of my identities. I've never been self-conscious of them. I've never questioned any of them because I simply don't give a fuck. And I don't feel privileged because fuck privilege. In the end, these questions were all just bland, vague, and they were geared toward this straight, white, heterosexual, I said straight white male who's able-bodied, who's rich, and yeah, exactly. And what Buzzfeed is trying to do is portray them as the highly privileged people. And then if you're opposite to that, you have to be oppressed. And by doing that, they perpetuate the stereotype of privilege and oppression. And that's the way they make their videos, and that's the way they actually think the world works, which it definitely doesn't. But now it's time to find out the results, and drum rolls please. Wow, I'm privileged. I find that to be racist as a non-white person, and sexist as someone who identifies as an Apache attack helicopter. But let's see what they have to say. You're quite privileged. You've had a few struggles. How do you know? But overall your life has been far easier than most. Perhaps. This is not a bad thing, except you use it as a derogatory way to tell people to check your privilege. Or is it something to be ashamed of, except you make it something to be ashamed of. But you should be aware of your advantages and work to help others who don't have them. Yeah, so stop telling me to check my privilege. Thank you for checking your privilege. And fuck you, Buzzfeed. But now let's just simplify it to what Buzzfeed actually means. Kill yourself, Whitey.